copywritten production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
Good morning, everyone. Would you please stand, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I don't have a remote.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, welcome to our board meeting today. I'm Tom Foster, president of the 2025 Board of Directors. This regular meeting of the Rec Centers of Sun City Board of Directors is audio and video recorded by the RCSC management and staff. Please be advised there's to be no recording of this meeting by any individuals. Please take out your cell phones and electronic devices and check them to ensure they're all in the silent mode. Forgot again. As a reminder, verbal or physical aggression toward any member, guest, or RCSC staff member is not acceptable. Offenders may be asked to leave the meeting. Now I would like to introduce our timekeeper and our management personnel. Our timekeeper will be Secretary Keiss.
Good morning.
Director of Finance is Kevin McCurdy.
Good morning.
So we have a light turnout down there. Director of Golf, Brian Duthu.
Morning.
And Director of Facilities is Mike Whiprud.
Morning.
And our Director of Operations and Interim General Manager, Mr. Deermeyer, is in a bowling tournament winning lots of money for RCSC, I hope, today. I would also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans, Carly Young, and Miguel Jackson, who are our audiovisual engineers. And of course, thank the Sundial staff for setting up the meeting for us today.
Marcia.
Oh, I forgot to introduce Marcia, board coordinator.
Good morning.
It's like nothing would happen without her, and then I skipped right over her. I apologize. All right, first order of business is a roll call of the voting members of the board. Secretary Keiss, would you please take the roll call and check for a quorum?
President Foster.
Here.
Vice President Nettesheim.
Here.
Treasurer Borski.
Here.
Director Ruff.
Here.
Director Gray.
Here.
Director Brissett.
Here.
Director Collins.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm here also. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I would like to ask the board members if there are any questions on the agenda.
I have one thing. There is a possibility we may have the chief of the Sun City Fire Department come in later to talk about the fee raises coming on, just to give us some information. He has a scheduling conflict, may join us or may not join us, so we may interrupt things for that.
We'll try to accommodate his schedule if we can. Minutes of the April 24th, 2025 meeting were posted for the directors to review. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right, seeing none, the minutes of the April 24th, 2025 meeting are approved. Thank you very much. Treasurer's report. Treasurer Borski, would you make your treasurer's report?
Okay. The balance of unrestricted funds as of April 30th was $14.3 million, which includes a $2.5 million cash reserve. Restricted funds also include the Preservation Fund and the Capital Reserve Fund. As of April 30th, the PIF fund had a balance of $40.9 million, And the capital reserve fund, which includes the SIF fees, had a balance of $11.5 million. During the month of April, RCSC's net operating expense excess totaled $534,896, which was better than budget by $9,601. April gross income was $184,768 below budget, but this negative variance was offset by a savings of $72,728 in wages and benefits and $105,893 in repair and maintenance expenses. RCSC's year-to-date operating excess was $3.1 million and higher than budget by $403,088. Year-to-date income was $593,739 under budget, primarily to our golf income being under budget by $501,141. However, this was an unfavorable income variance was more than offset by the $443,618 savings in wages and benefits, $228,316 in repairs and maintenance, and $275,047 in other operating expenses. Respectfully submitted, Anita Borski, Treasurer.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the treasurer's report?
I just have a question on the balance sheet. There's a difference in cash in the bank between last year and this year. It's a significant difference. Why is it like that?
Which number, Preston?
If you look at the balance sheet,
Yeah.
There's a $4 million difference from the prior year to the current year of cash in the bank. I was just wondering why it was like that.
Director Geis, as part of the BP16, and we moved some of the quote-unquote carry forward from our checking account into the capital reserve fund.
Okay.
That money did not disappear, just got reclassified.
I didn't figure it did. I just wanted to know where it went to.
Okay,
It might have been taking a vacation in the Bahamas.
that would not have happened.
That's where Mike is.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Treasurer's report is filed for audit then. Thank you. Management report. Are there any questions or comments on the management report?
Yes.
Okay. Secretary Geis.
First off, I'd like to give kudos to the Safety and Compliance Office. They upgraded our AED. They're working on AED devices to AV/IVE units. They're working on getting training for them and putting first aid kits. So I think they're doing a really good job of helping to make our facilities and our members and the staff a lot safer. And I think that's a big kudos to them for that. That's good work. Going along with that, we have a mix of, year to date of what incident reports are, and however, for the month it says there are 64 incident reports, but it didn't say what the mix was specifically for this month. I was wondering if that would be possible to tell us, okay, I've got year to date, but could we also see what the mix of what the incident reports are for the month also?
Yeah, Director Geis, I can start to publish current month incident reports as well as a year-to-date chart if that would be helpful.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yep.
Anything further, Secretary Geis?
I do not believe so, thank you.
All right. Treasurer Borski.
Kevin, on the incident reports, it'll be interesting to see if we have a change at all with the rehab center closing by Fairway. I'd like to see what happens in the next couple of months if the incident reports go down. Also, in cardholder services, could you add a line in there that that states how many payments and the total amount that the foundation has paid each month?
Yeah, Director Borski, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? I have a couple things if everyone else is okay. The coyote situation at Bell, I assume the mother resolved the situation for us? Do we know that?
President Foster, I actually don't know. What I was told was that they had come back, but I don't know if they've remained there or they just come and go as they please. I'm not sure.
Well, do they have member cards?
But do they pay an assessment?
And that's, well, okay,
They're
they were here
paying
first, I
rabbit
guess.
removal.
Yeah. Anyway, we have that monitored if they are coming back and forth there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then the PIF numbers, the graph that you showed on page 3, it was the cumulative resales, and it looked like we were ahead of what we had projected there year to date. So despite whatever worries we have economically, we seem to be selling homes here.
Yeah, President Foster, we're slightly ahead of budget. For the budget, we use 1,500 resales per year. As of the first third of the year, we were at slightly over 600. So we're trending slightly favorable to budget on the number of resales, which it is kind of unexpected, but I don't think that the majority of our home resales are really driven by the economy so much as they're driven by members passing.
Okay. Director Ruff.
Looking at the PIF fund collections, we had that unusual event in March of one of the, I can't remember the name of the, Palms was sold. And so they had to pay close to $1 million. So that's one of the reasons we're up above. It's not necessarily just the home sales. It was a big transaction that was very favorable to us budget-wise.
I recall that. Thank you, Director Ruff. And Mr. Duthu, this is kind of for the benefit of Secretary Keiss and Director Brissett, who are on the Gulf Advisory Group. So we've done a lot of IT work, and my understanding is the internet capabilities are improving at various courses, in particular the South course. Does that include the range ball machine?
I believe the South machine does have the ability to be wireless. Right now, it's always been wired, so the wireless capability shouldn't really affect.
So,
but they were waiting until they had the upgrades installed before they were going to take a look at that line again. So I'd have to follow back up with Peter to see if that's still in the works.
okay, so that machine is still operating on its own schedule rather than our schedule.
Correct. And my recommendation in general would be for the board to consider replacing all the machines. We've had them probably for 10, 12 years now, and I think they've kind of reached the end of their life cycle in general, and there might be some better options out there for the next budget cycle.
All right, thank you. Any other, Secretary Keiss?
Going along with that, Mr. Duthu, can you make some recommendations to the board along with costs so that we can have a way to look at that and provide that to the 5-year team and also to the finance and budget if it's going to go into the next year?
Director Keiss certainly can.
Thank you.
Treasurer Borski?
One other comment to the management team, the entire management team. This report has been growing, and I think you're doing a great job. More and more information is coming out. Our members should know what's going on, probably more than they ever did before, and I thank you for the increased report.
I believe, Mr. Duthu, that this will go down as your last board meeting, if I'm correct. So I just wanted to take a moment here for the board to thank you for your service and your dedication to the RCSC, and wish you the best of luck. I can't imagine why Florida is better than Arizona, but go for it. But I hope all things go well, and we thank you for your time here.
Thank you, President Foster.
All right, committee and liaison reports. Do any of the directors have any submissions at this point? Go ahead, Vice President Nedesine.
So for the Friends of the Library, I'm actually a liaison for the Friends. They are trying summer hours this year, so I would recommend anybody who's going to the bookstore at the libraries just check their hours, because it is different from past years. So go to their website and just double check their hours before you go, so that you don't get there and disappointed thinking you're going to be able to go buy some new books and you can't. For me, as an avid reader, that would be like a Debbie Downer day, that I couldn't go buy what I want. So just wanted to share that with everybody. I also wanted to share something. When we were meeting with a group of residents or members recently, I had made some statements about the Audubon certification of Quail Run. I had misunderstood something that was said in a meeting, so I do apologize to everybody for the incorrect information. I was under the impression, because we were talking about North and we were talking about Quail Run at the same time, that we did not have Audubon certification for Quail Run. That is not true. We do, and I'm going to let Mr. Duthu speak to that so that I don't misspeak again. So I'm going to let him go ahead and answer that for everybody, just to set the record straight, because I understand it's kind of slowly spreading, and I don't want misinformation to get out there, and I apologize for the misstatements. Thank you.
Director or Vice President Nedesheim, you are correct that Quail's still Audubon certified. You can go onto their website and see that Quail's still listed. And it is certainly our feeling that the changes that we're making to Quail will only strengthen the position with the changes we're making to the turf grass to conserve water. And once construction is complete, we will be going back through and putting in the milkweed for the butterflies, and which was something that we had done a few years ago. I believe it's a 3-year recertification that we do. And there's always usually some recommendations on things to make, and we will be. I've asked if we can get the gentleman that we use is Kai Umeda. He's out of the U of A. I believe he might be retired from the U of A, but he still does the certification work, and we're going to have him ask him to come out and take a look to see if he has any recommendations going forward to strengthen our position.
Thank you so much. Could you tell me when our next certification is up for renewal?
I would have to look. I don't know.
Okay. So I hate to ask this because I know you're very busy and you're counting down the days to go be with little people. Can you add that to your book of things not to forget about for the next director of golf? I would really appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Director Collins.
Yes, Mr. Dufu, a couple questions. We have a company that redoes all our bunkers. And with the Quail Run being done, are they being done to the specifications that we have our person do when he redoes our bunkers?
Each time, Director Collins, each time we've had coursework done, it's not always been the same company that's done our bunkers, but they are being done to the same specifications. It's the Better Billy bunker liner that you might be referring to, and that is the method that we're using at Quail.
And while we're doing Quail, are we putting the bottle fill stations in the restrooms at the course?
I don't believe it's part of the plan currently, but I don't see it being an issue if we would decide to go that route.
Yeah, because I think while we're doing a PIF project, I think we should include that into our PIF project.
Yeah, there's only one restroom at Quail, but
Thank you.
The only thing that I would recommend is trying to maybe find a way to secure it in the evening so it doesn't turn into a shower station.
And going along with that, we got a really good tour last week with the Quail Golf or Greens Committee, and they were extremely pleased with the progress of the course, how the bunkers have been reshaped to make it better for players of a certain age. So they were extremely happy with what's going on with Quail and the improvements that are being made there. So I want to let everybody know that that project is going really well, and I think it's still a little bit ahead of schedule.
And it is still on budget, by the way. Okay, any other comments for committee or liaison? All right. We're going to skip over the rec center update report without a general manager. A couple things that I was going to mention. Speaking of director of golf, we did receive numerous resumes. A group of management and board members have gone through those. Interviews were held last week with 7 individuals. Those are continuing in this week and next week. Hopefully we'll have a meeting then at the conclusion of that with the board members to give us a summary of where that is, and if possible, about a week from now, Thursday or Friday of next week, we might be in a position to wrap that situation up. We still have, you'll note, a vacant board member spot. Interviews for that are being scheduled. Those are next week, I believe, Marcia? Monday and Thursday. So hopefully we'll be able to wrap that situation up and move forward with a full contingent of board members if we're able to find someone who's willing to come on. General manager position, more work will be done on that next week. That's a little bit delayed because of all the work that HR had been helping us with to do the director of golf situation. But as that now winds down, we'll gear up on the general manager search. The master plan is not idle. We continue to meet on that. There are a number of firms, I believe we're down to 4 firms who are the finalists for that master plan situation, and review of those submissions continues, I think, later this week and next week. Sitting next to me is the expert on Mountain View programming. My understanding is that continues to move forward. I have seen numerous emails from the architect Tri-Arc to various different groups requesting their input. So is there anything you need to add on that, or that's about where we stand, I believe?
All right. We are we're in the process of the surveys going out and asking for feedback. I've seen the pickleball one come back and the tennis come back. I have not seen the others, but I want to thank the pickleball club and pickleball players and the tennis club and tennis players for participating in that. I know this has been, sometimes feels like a very repetitive process, but we're moving in the right direction. We're making the right decisions based on input from the members. So I thank you for taking the time to do that again. It's much appreciated.
I know, Mr. McCurdy, we still have the manager of HR position. I understand that's moving forward, though. Is there any update that you wish to make on that?
I wish there was a positive update.
Okay.
We're collecting resumes and going through them, and we'll be interviewing next week.
Okay, thank you. Bylaws Working Group, that continues robustly to move forward. A number of those subgroups, that working group was split into several subgroups, 4, I believe, and they have split up the bylaws into a number of subsections, and they have been just moving through that at a very strong pace, and have included legal advice along the way here. So hopefully that is moving, and we're still hoping to have that ready for the October board meeting. We had discussed briefly the possibility of this Finance 101 kind of presentation for the membership who had asked for some assistance in trying to figure out Mr. McCurdy's accounting systems. And Mr. McCurdy and Treasurer Borski have put some slides together. I showed that draft to the Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee at their meeting for the month of May. That received good reviews. So I think we're pretty close to trying to decide whether we're going to do a video of that people can look at and confuse themselves multiple times, or just have kind of a town hall thing where you can actually have some feedback and ask questions. But one way or another, we will get that out to everyone and just see how that goes, and hopefully it will meet the needs that everyone has, or at least a certain segment of our membership have expressed, of trying to figure out debits and credits that Mr. McCurdy is so clever with. And one more thing.
Just one comment. I don't want to take any credit for it. Kevin did the PowerPoint presentation, and I thank him. I was playing with my great-grandkids when he did that, so thank you, Kevin.
No, I'm not, yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I would ask that Mr. McCurdy also do the golf presentation in October. He did such a fine job a couple years ago. I mean, he's really good at it.
Well, perhaps, but I did like the way members helped with the budget presentation, people from long-range planning and from finance, budget, and audit. It was kind of a tag team effort that I thought was well presented, actually, and you know, when it was coming from members who were on the committees that made those decisions, I thought that was a way to communicate to the membership that, rather than from management or board members necessarily, although we were all there to help answer questions. But I thought what they did was terrific. Now, Mr. McCurdy is still largely involved in preparing the initial drafts of the annual budgets. He does not escape that one. We hold his feet to the fire on that. So he will continue to be involved in that, but certainly at Golf Advisory or at Finance, Budget, and Audit, when we go through there division by division as what the budgets will be, I'm certain Mr. McCurdy will be highly involved in those efforts. One last thing I was on my list, and that was, I know June is right around the corner, and we're going to be providing packets for anyone who wishes to run for the board of directors this fall. One of the things, just, you know, not that you need to be overly concerned about this, but the vendor that supplied the software that was previously used to tabulate the voting online, that software is no longer being supported, and so we will have to replace that. and Director Gray, who is the chair of the Elections Committee, and I raised my hand at the wrong time again, and so I'm going to help him with trying to work through that situation and select a replacement piece of software so that we will be hopefully a seamless experience for the membership as far as how voting will take place. But that is certainly a high priority project because it's June already. That it's going to be voting time before we know it. So we're working hard to try to get that together. Okay. Any other comments from any of the board members? Okay. Committee recommendations. Vice President Nettesheim, you have a motion. Would you please read that motion?
Certainly. I move, based on the Insurance Committee and the RCSC Insurance Brokers' recommendation, to approve the 2025-2026 renewal proposal, insurance renewal proposal for the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. The insurance renewal proposal includes the same insurance coverage, terms and conditions, and most of the same carriers per RCSC's expiring coverage. The overall premium increase for all coverage during the 2025-2026 period will be $301,007, or a 20% increase in our insurance premiums.
Okay, this does not need a second because it comes from a committee. Vice President Nettesheim, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I do. So bear with me. We have a nice write-up from the Insurance Committee that I'd like to read. I'll try and go slow or slower than I normally speak, so that it's easier to follow. It is quite lengthy, but it has really important information that I think we need to all hear about why our premiums have gone up 20%. While not standard, is not unheard of in the commercial realm, but I want everybody to understand what's driving our premiums. Our insurance broker requested quotes from 11 carriers in addition to our existing carrier for our general liability 2025-2026 coverage. General liability is our largest risk exposure. However, our broker informed us that none of the 11 additional carriers responded with a bid to accept the RCSC risk profile. The reasons given for not even bidding on the RCSC business were the exposure the RCSC has due to the business it is in, the loss experience that the RCSC has had, and that the additional carriers could not offer a better price than the existing carriers already do. Our insurance headwinds also include that our property values increased by 15%, which is good news for us. A third-party appraisal from Marshall & Swift provided that, requiring higher levels of coverage and our somewhat higher loss experience history. In particular, the RCSC's experience modification rating, that's the factors that they use to determine our premium, reflects higher than average workers' compensation claims. An EMOD of 1 is average, our EMOD is 2, so it's 100% more, suggesting higher than average losses resulting in higher workers' compensation premiums. Finally, while it is not unusual for lawsuits to be filed against the RCSC, the Board of Directors was sued earlier this year. While that lawsuit was eventually withdrawn, the RCSC had to replace insurance coverage for its directors and officers, as one of the carriers previously used has refused to renew their coverage, an apparent consequence of that lawsuit being filed. All of the insurance companies providing coverage to the RCSC carry financial strength ratings from A to A++. These financial ratings are generally considered in the insurance industry to be excellent to superior. Our overall quote from premiums for the period January 30th, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 is $1,795,204. This premium will provide insurance coverage for the RCSC's property, liability, auto, directors and officers liability, workman's comp, and 7 other smaller risks. Therefore, after exploring alternative options with insurance carriers doing business in Arizona, after considering the level of deductible on our policies, and after considering the level of coverage the insurance committee felt was appropriate, the committee recommends the proposed level of coverage, the proposed carriers, and the proposed premiums as the RCSC's most prudent option. Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of members? Well, you get to speak in just a second. Names of any members who have signed up to speak on this motion.
Dave Clausen.
Dave Clausen, 154961. You've answered that question that just looms when I saw this 20% increase. Why? You've explained it pretty well. I'm still, because it's a complicated subject, I don't think I understand it well enough to say I'm comfortable with it. I still believe, man, there seems to be something else that could have been done, or what are the different options? We had, I think you named 5 or 6 different types of insurance that were included in it, and you made some reference to increased insurance because of the lawsuit that was resolved. I don't know why that would be that big of a deal and how much that is. Do you have data as to breakdown as to what the elements, general liability, how much that is, how much is the different pieces of coverage? Do you have that?
We do, but I don't know that we have, I don't have it here with me, so
Okay.
I apologize. However,
Yeah.
I can send it to you. We can send the
Yeah.
breakdown, because the brokers did give that to us.
Now, in my personal case, if I had something that needed to be done, contractor to do some work, I would keep going and finding additional quotes instead of just, I mean, none of the 11 responded, and that's pretty shocking. But I don't know that I would stop in searching for quotes just because no one else responded.
So the thing we have to be cautious of is, yes, we could probably find somebody to pick up our risk, but they would not necessarily be in that excellent to superior range that we need to. So when you consider insurance companies, you have to consider who's in the market for your type of business.
Right.
What is their history? What is their rating with AM Best? And then, will they take your business? So the brokers went out to every company that met those criteria, and they weren't willing to take our business.
Well, you said every, but 11 is not necessarily every.
So I will say that, so this is where we have to rely on the experts. And I will say that the broker, when we talked with the broker was pretty clear that they would reach out to everybody who is, so there's a limited group of commercial carriers that will write for this type of business.
Okay.
And so they went out to the ones that they felt had the best rating, would potentially give us the best premium, and then come back. And unfortunately, none of them did. And one of our existing carriers deferred to not doing that.
I think
Yes, I should have.
You've done good due diligence on this. I am not critical of what you're doing, but it's just such a large amount of money. And what are the lawsuits that we've paid? We're paying $1 million a year now for insurance. How much have we paid out? Apparently you responded there were quite a few. I'm surprised. I don't know what we paid. Before I leave, I want to say thank you for renovated tennis courts at Mountain View. They're awesome. We've been playing on them every day. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I might just throw in, and I don't want to misuse the terms here, but in the business, there are what are called admitted insurance companies and those that are not admitted. And admitted, and Mr. McCurdy, I'm sure, can correct me, and will do so at will. So, but if you are admitted, then you are under the regulatory guidelines or oversight of the Insurance Commission of the state of Arizona. And if you are not admitted, then you are not under those guidelines, and you may be able to obtain coverage from a non-admitted agency, but it is not necessarily a financially strong firm, nor do you have the assurance as the insured that the insurer is going to be there when you need them, because the state of Arizona doesn't care about those who are not admitted. So you might be thinking that you're able to manage your insurance costs better, but you may be paying premiums to somebody who's not going to be there when you need them. And I'm sure Mr. McCurdy will correct any misstatements that I might have just made. But generally speaking, last year I made this same motion in a different role here. There were 16 companies that we went out and sought bids from. And getting multiple bids that's just the way we work here. But it was a very similar situation last year where most of those 16 didn't even bother to bid. And if you're in a condo association and you're trying to find insurance for your association, you're probably experiencing the same things we're going through. This is a very tough market for the insured to try and find insurance coverage because there's too many risks that the insurer can't control. And some of our main ones are we are all having too many birthdays. So we trip and we slip and we sprain and we fall. And that's why the workman's comp claims that Vice President Nettesign was quoting are really a concern for us. And mentioned here by Secretary Kais of a shout out to the safety group. Those folks have embarked on a campaign to try and help and assist not only the members but our workforce, whether they're sweeping the around the pools or they're working on an irrigation system on a golf course, but to do things safely so that we can try and reduce the incidents that we're having of workmen's compensation claims, which kind of is because our workforce tends to be an older workforce, and getting down on your hands and knees and working on things like that, it's not unusual to have slips and trips and spills. So it's reflective in some of the quotes that we're getting or lack thereof. So I agree that why would you stop at 11? Well, maybe because there aren't that many more beyond the 11 that are admitted insurers supervised by the state of Arizona and willing to do this kind of coverage for the type of risk that we have with a recreational facility. And we're not 30 years old, we're more like 73 years old. So those were some of the reasons that this has been moving in the wrong direction for us, but it's been moving in the wrong directions for condos as well as rec centers. We see the same situation going on at Sun City West, who has an insurance broker. There's really basically only 2 left in the state that do this kind of work. They use the other one, and we use the remaining one. And the story is the same. It's very difficult to acquire this insurance, and we're somewhat price takers at the moment until we can get a good history that we've got our loss issues under control, which makes the pricing of coverage for us a little more favorable to the insurer. So I guess that's a few comments in response to what you mentioned, Mr. Clausen, and I hope that that's helpful. Are there any other? Director Collins?
Yes, I just want to, do we know, how much was the cost that this one member took a frivolous lawsuit against us? How much did that raise our premiums because of that frivolous lawsuit?
I don't have that specific. All I know, we lost one of our insurers, probably because of that reason. But you know, you have an accident, and all of a sudden your car insurance company goes, we're not going to renew you, and you don't necessarily know why, but you know.
But we also didn't go after that individual for any of these fees that are being now imposed on us.
Well, we've explored that with legal counsel, and we are kind of prohibited from doing that given the structure of that lawsuit and how it terminated.
Okay. And my other question is, you put in here you had to replace the insurance coverage for the directors and officers. We had insurance for that coverage, correct?
We did.
And we lost all of it because of that?
No, there were 3 different insurance companies that were covering pieces of that. There's a base coverage and then what are called excess coverage on top of that. And the firm that was next in line, so the base coverage would step in, and then if the claim was larger than that, the intermediate one would step in, and then there was a safety valve over the top of that. The middle one is the one who said, thank you, I'm not going to renew.
Okay. And when you talk about loss here, you're talking about lawsuits from trips, falls, injuries, not for theft, correct? Because most of our theft is under our deductibles, so we pay that.
Well, certainly anything that meets the deductible requirement, we stand those, yes.
So this is mainly for injuries and trips and falls, and that's what we consider loss.
Well, the insurer certainly considers it a loss if a member falls on the pool deck and sues us for an amount that is in excess of what we stand on the insurance coverage. And Mr. McCurdy can, I'm sure, give you all kinds of information about that. Perhaps this isn't quite the right forum for that, but there have been, and undoubtedly will still be, given the demographics of our groups, that people will slip and fall. And to the extent that they are seriously injured, we do have the potential of a liability claim.
Thank you.
Right. Treasurer Borski.
I have a question. Do our conduct violations or the fact that we have to call in MCSO have any effect on our insurance? None at all. Okay, so that's not reported. Okay. How about if it's a conduct violation where somebody punches somebody? Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. President, everyone spoke who signed up.
Thank you. I should have asked that a long time ago. All right, sorry about that. All right, so we've exhausted the comments by the board as well. All right. Secretary Kais, would you please take the roll call vote?
Treasurer Borski,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Vice President Nedesheim,
Yes.
Director Ruff,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Yes.
Director Brissette,
Yes.
President Foster,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So by a vote of 9 votes yes and no noes and no abstains,
8.
8, thank you. You know, I know. So by a vote of 8 yes and 0 noes and 0 abstains, the motion passes.
All right, so that is the first reading, and it will have to come back at the June meeting for its second reading. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a consent agenda item, a request to change the name of the Stretch and Slim Club to the Cardio Strength Stretch Club at the request of the club. Is there a motion to make this change? Director Ruff, so move. I do need a second in this case.
I will second that.
All right. Treasurer Borski. Is there any discussion by the board?
Do we want to read this?
If you wish, you can read that into the record, yes.
Yes, there's a page here that was given to us by Angela, who works in the club's office. It says, the Stretch and Slim members officially request to have the name of our club changed to Cardio Strength Stretch, CSS. The reason for the name change is that Stretch and Slim does not describe what we do in this club. New members are confused as to what they get when they come. We need a name that said it all. A change in the name committee was established from the different classes. There were 6 members who met and decided on presenting 2 names. Our club has 142 members. 78 members voted to have the name changed. The members were given a week to vote by email or paper ballot. They were given 2 choices and an opportunity to submit their own recommendation. And there's a copy of the letter below, along with the voting process. And that's from Sharon Heinrich, who is the president of Stretch and Slim.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none.
Members?
Not normally for a consent agenda item. Secretary Kais, will you please take the roll call vote?
Treasurer Borski,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Vice President Nedesheim,
Yes.
Director Ruff,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Yes.
Director Brissette,
Yes.
President Foster,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So by a vote of 8-0 and 8 in favor and 0 opposed, the consent agenda item passes.
All right, thank you. There are no second readings on the agenda.
Tom?
Yes, sir.
Just before we end that announcement.
Okay. Well, we're very close to that point.
Yeah, I know.
I believe there are no new business items on the agenda other than Director Gray wanting to speak to something new.
Yes, and this kind of goes back to what you had mentioned about the elections. So just for an update, on January 3rd at 3 p.m., to make it easy on the 3rd at 3 p.m., we're going to be having a candidate information time. So there'll be board members.
June.
June 3rd.
Or June. What did I say?
You say January.
Oh, excuse me. This is just see if you're awake. They're awake. I'm not.
We have 8 directors, too.
Anyway, June 3rd, we're going to be having an information session where we'll have some of the board members. So if you've got an interest in running for the board, or even if you just got some curiosity about the board, what board members do, anything like that, feel free to come out. It's, again, June 3rd at 3 o'clock.
Thank you. Director Collins?
Social Hall number 2.
There's a paper on the back table unless they're gone, but
All right.
Yeah, come on down and we'll tell you all the little secrets, okay? You know.
Was there anything else, Director Collins?
Oh, yes. Goes for all the clubs. We're entering into the summer, and a lot of people have gone home, and the clubs need to remember BP 12 says you will have 2 monitors in your clubs at all times you're in there. So even though people are going home, you have to have 2. How you set it up is up to you. But there will be people out verifying that you have 2 members monitoring. Thank you.
All right. Treasurer Borski?
To tag on to Director Gray's comment, there are 4 positions open this fall. So there'll be 4 openings on the board. So we hope we get a lot of candidates.
Okay.
And do we want to announce which positions are open?
Well,
I do. I'll announce it. This one's open. My position's open. Chris's and Steve Collins. So those 4 chairs will be open in the fall.
and we will eagerly await to see if the incumbents take out papers to run again. All right. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? All right, seeing none, the next meeting will be the exchange meeting on June 9th at 9 a.m. here at Sundial. The next meeting of the board will be on June 26th at 9 a.m. again here in Sundial, and the next annual meeting remains tentatively scheduled for March 10th at 6 p.m., March 10th of 2026, at 6 p.m. here at Sundial. So hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for attending.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.